Femi?
I can hear you, Gary.
Okay. Yeah, tell us about Near Neighbours and what you know.
Okay, can everyone hear me all right? Right.
Yeah.
So we are a Church of England charity, and we work with faith and ethnic communities in the city. We are passionate about women, hence we are always heavily involved with International Women's Day and anything just that pertains to women. We've been supporting some domestic abuse work in the city. Currently, we are funding the Freedom Course with Living Keys, a charity that's just started in Peterborough. And we're also funding the East European community just to support victims of domestic abuse. I really do like poetry, but I am not one to have the confidence to read out mine openly. So Judith, who helped with International Women's Day last year, she's here. She's a very accomplished poet. So I'm just going to hand over to Judith to read poetry. Thank you. And brilliant poetry by the ladies before me. Thank you so much.
Hello, thank you, Femi, thank you, Gary, and hello, everyone. Nice to see you, all of you. So I will share today my poem with you called Singing the Song of Your Journey. You are the cradle of life, standing in the center of universe, with a crown of eternal glory on your head, holding a new life on your hands, gently squeezing it to your heart, a roaring dragon of light under your feet. You are entrusted with the preservation of life and the truth. You are entrusted to treat our wounded hearts and souls, comfort the suffering, to inspire hope to those who have lost it, teach to love and forgiveness, a ray of heart light to illuminate the darkness, because you are created from light. You are meant to carry and share the light. You are the gate of life. You are the sword of truth. You are the keeper of light, standing in the center of the universe, singing the song of your journey. So thank you very much.
Judy, if you honestly think you're going to get away with that, you know me. So, Jen, tell me about what Near Neighbours do and what you do and why you went to see the Queen.
I was helping to Femi with Near Neighbours project last year, and we had very great project called Real People Honest Talk. And you, Harry, also was involved in there. Also, I was representing the East European communities and Catholic communities when we had last year, not last year, on 2019, the reception at the Buckingham Palace with Elizabeth II.
What you didn't say is what you do for the whole community, getting people together.
Actually, I used to work at Peterborough Museum. I used to work with the Metal Art Gallery, and also I'm involved. I'm a leader of Lithuanian community here in Peterborough, and also I'm working with different background communities with migrants heritage. And now I'm working with the Family Voice Peterborough organization, and it is charity organization for people with SEND.
Brilliant. Another one who always kicking me up the bum to get this and do this and whatever, and we love it. Thank this round of applause for both Femi and Judith. There's lots of work with the young people, the communities, which doesn't get done without these two. I've just seen Alison Davis just come in. Alison Davis?
Hi.
Hi, Alison.
Hi.
I thought GMT stand for Gary in the meantime. That's cutting it fine.
Sorry. I'd got it down as starting at 6:30. Sorry.
And it's 6:40. No. So, Alison,
Yeah.
are you okay to go to tell us what you do, how long you've done it, and about your publication?
Okay. Thanks. Well, I have a day job, but besides the day job, I do research for Peterborough Racial Equality Council, and if I just say I've been doing it since the end of the last century, that's quite long enough. And we've done several projects promoting the voices of young people from Black, Asian and minority ethnic backgrounds in the city, so that they can get heard and taken notice of by the council and schools and faith leaders and so on. And the most recent project, which we called For the City's Sake, which if anybody wants a copy, you'll put your address in the chat box and I'll send you one. You might even recognize some of the people on the cover. And it was the publication was kindly funded by Near Neighbours. I hope Femi's still there to say hi, and big thank you. These have been going all over the country, and one or two of them out of the country. So it's really thanks to Near Neighbours. What this most recent one has done was a project recording the views of 430 young people from Black, Asian and minority ethnic backgrounds about subjects they felt strongly about, like racism, and how to build a stronger city in Peterborough, their views on these things. And we, of course, we invited both girls and boys because it was supposed to be about young people in Peterborough. Although I have to say a majority of girls chose to participate. And so I've just chosen a few of their comments to share with you. First of all, they spoke strongly about their own experiences of racism. And I'm just going to read you one or two. They call me a N-word, which I won't say, and said, "You are black and you're going to be my slave." And they said he would sell me. Another one, "I feel I face racist behaviour around me every day in Western society, as they have a prejudgment and misconception of our customs and religion." Several girls from different backgrounds said, "I got told to go back where I come from." And many of which, of course, in most cases is Peterborough. Many of the girls felt that racism towards them had got worse since the Brexit vote. One young lady said people voted Brexit because they wanted foreigners to leave. And racism and discrimination has increased in the light of Brexit and ISIS. Girls described racialized female stereotypes that they suffered from some teachers, particularly young Muslim girls who wore the hijab, felt that some teachers dismissed their own career ambitions to go to uni simply because they believed they would not have to, that they would have to leave school and get married, and they just made that assumption that there was no point in the girl going to uni. That was said lots of times, I'm afraid to say. And indeed, one teacher told me as researcher, that there was no point in asking the Asian girls their view about building community cohesion because they weren't allowed to go out. So they didn't meet people from other communities. They also expressed strong feelings about how they were portrayed negatively in the press and on social media. One young British Muslim told us, if all young Muslims are seeing in the press is how negative migration is and how everyone hates it and how every single attack is from Islam, they don't report any other attacks from any other groups, then they are going to feel angry. Another British Pakistani young woman summed it up. People make assumptions based on what they hear. People need to stop making assumptions and get to know people for themselves. These young women wanted their teachers, the authorities, and us to know about the issues and acknowledge where they are happening. Not, as one teacher said to me, oh, we've eliminated racism in our school. Not sure I believe that. We're working hard to eliminate racism, great, but I don't think it's actually happened yet. Not from what the young people told us. But they do have, I mean, what I've said so far sounds quite negative, doesn't it? But they have many, many, many positive ideas about what we should be doing in Peterborough to improve things. And I'm just going to finish off and read you just a few of them. Gatherings and social events should be organised where all different varieties of communities can connect. More celebrations in school of multiculturalism. Acknowledge other cultures, e.g. more lessons on Asian history and Black history. Make more of an effort to educate people on different cultures and faith groups. Focus on similarities rather than differences. They believe that education is important and powerful, and getting to know your neighbours is essential for addressing stereotypes and promoting mutual understanding. So I want to end, you'll be glad to know, by reading you an extract from an interview with a young British Pakistani young woman, aged only just 14, and she was reflecting on how her own attitudes had changed towards others. We had certain students in our class who were from Slovakia, and before we knew them, we were like, okay, they're foreigners, we don't need to know any interaction with them, and they're like a little bit lower than us, than you could say. But then once we got to know them, my viewpoint changed, and it was like, okay, they're human, they're normal people, they just can't speak English so well. Now, I think with empathy and perceptiveness like that in a just 14-year-old young woman, from the women of tomorrow, I think our city is in good hands. Thank you. Sorry, I can't do any poetry, no. But I think their words are a lot better than mine.
Alison, before I give you a standing round of applause or respond to your email, today's, I've been quite indulgent in that, like the women have gathered, have moved me and the stuff, what you do. As wonderful Alison didn't tell you, she's been fighting racism since I was a nipper. And so when she asked me to be involved with PREC, People with Race Relations Executive Council, nobody says no to Alison. But she's an amazing figure. The book For a City's Sake, I know it's about Peterborough, but we have got, well, I'll say we, a royal we, we can send you. It says a lot about...
No, I'll send it, Gareth. Anybody puts their, well, either an email address or a postal address in nobody reads 52 pages of PDF, but the photography and thanks to Near Neighbours, the photography and the quotations really come over very well. If you put a postal address or an email address where you can send me a postal address in the chat, I'll send you on.
Thank you, Alan. It's the voices of the young people. To me, it's a world-class document, and it should have been a world bestseller by now. Thank you, Alison, for all that you do for our community. And thank you for coming here and supporting everything from Say It Louder.
Thank you for that, Special K. I don't know if I do roar anymore these days, but anyway. Yes, I do co-run Live Poets in Swansea with Tim Evans, and that's a radical poetry group, and that's explicitly political poetry, and we're doing a big anti-racism thing next week on Tuesday, if anybody wants to tune in. I wanted to say a few words about what this day, how this day came about and what we're doing with it, International Women's Day, because it started at the beginning of the 20th century, and it came out of workers' rights and women on strike, both in New York initially and then in Russia, which led to the sort of triggered some of the things for the Russian Revolution, and then led to got women joining together, not only for women's rights and women's pay and for divorce and abortion rights and so on, but also for peace. Women in the First World War went from 25 different countries, completely illegally, because their countries were against each other for war, but they went and had a conference on peace really bravely. And it seems to me that the day, it took till 1977. In other words, I think another 60 years before the UN, the United Nations, said, this can be a day for women. And it seems to me that part of what we need to do is to see it as a time for commemorating some of the women who have been powerful in the past and helped to move things forward for the freedoms such as we do have today. But also it's a time for bonding and solidarity, and certainly I've seen lots of that tonight. And it's also about protesting and the campaigns that we need to have. And again, people are working on fantastic projects, but let us not forget, I mean, in Britain, the women on the front line in their health service who've just spent a year knocking themselves up, saving lives and putting themselves at risk. 1,000 health workers have died. They've been offered less than a pay cut, 1% pay rise this week, an absolute kick in the face for nurses and health workers, most of whom, 77% of workers in the health service are women. So, there's lots to do. And the point that was made about, the leaders, I think Francesca was talking about that just getting women to the top table, and I know the theme for United Nations has been leadership this year, is not enough. We have a Home Secretary in Britain who dismantles many of the welfare benefits and the opportunities for women of all races and for refugees and so on, who, although she is an ethnic minority woman, she is not good news for the women in our society. So, and on the other hand, in America, you have, they're called the Squad. Some people in leadership are doing wonderful things for the many. And so we need to be critical. I think we do want women to be leaders, but we also want people, all together to lead things themselves in solidarity. It is in strength. And, I think whatever the difference is, and it was very interesting to hear Rian's poem about the feminists, we need to look at what women are doing and that they are representing, something that is for the many, and we are overcoming differences between us and working together for the same ends. So I wanted to say all that. But anyway, I'm going to read some poems. It's interesting that although for me the day is about workers' rights a lot, that actually is quite clear from a lot of things that people are reading about and talking about, and in my own poetry, that we are not free from the oppression in coercive and abusive relationships at work, but particularly in the home and in sexuality. And a lot of my poems have that kind of element. So I'm going to read 3 poems, and perhaps 1 or 2 themes will come across from that. First one's called Blue Sky. My heart breaks when I hear your story, the weeping in the night and the screaming in the light. All over the world, I hear your cry. See the trickle of your tears and know the searing of your soul. My cry, my tears and my soul. It's in their eyes, the malice of those who seek to justify attempts to subdue your spirit in words and spittle and phlegm and bile. And though your lips are silent, you are not quiet. And though you lie down, your hymen resists. And though you acquiesce with smiles, your glance is subversive. And though you answer to a new name, you know who you are. And though they force you to fight, your dreams are of flight. And no matter what they do that's wrong, your mind holds on and your spirit is strong. And when the day of freedom comes, you won't hold back from speaking out. You'll wipe the smirk from their lips. You'll no longer be afraid to shout. You'll take the stories to streets and townships. You'll set the truth free and you'll destroy every lie. And as you smash their fragile authority, you'll see with all clarity, oh yes, the blue, blue sky. That's that one. And, you know, I think that says something about how we have to cope in situations sometimes that are a nightmare, but, you know, we're holding it, we're being, you know, we will put voice to it eventually. This is another one, and partly, obviously triggered by Trump, but also you'll see some of the other themes in it. It's called A Boulder Has Rolled Over the Cliff Edge. And now the weight of it all has lifted. A giant boulder has rolled over the cliff edge and smashed into jagged pieces, water eddying round each one. And you, lying there on the floor, and when they came, I kept trying to clear up the mess underneath your body, as if when they lifted your poor worn shape and carried it out of the door, they might suddenly see all the foul words that you had used and all the reluctant conjugal duties demanded. I got on my knees and I scrubbed away every drop of piss and blood around the silhouette shadow left behind. And they dance all along the shoreline and wore costumes and masks, because by then there was a plague abroad. And I might have wished for those thousands of women to be back on the streets, women refugees, women mothers, women for abortion rights, women students, women workers, older women, black women, poor women, comfortably off women, gay women, trans women, teachers, saleswomen, amnesty women, survivor women, Jewish women, nurses, daughters, precursors of Me Too, women in woolly pussy hats, women in veils, and women for justice. But no one's allowed to march today because of the plague. I wander along the beach alone, letting salty effluent water ripple between my toes. I turn over a piece of broken rock in my calloused hand, frangible too much like cold, hard toffee. I can't bite into it. Pieces of this shattered rock scattered all along the coastline. Bits of you will be seized upon by thousands of hands and banged against the limestone wall, smashed into smithereens, and in some cases, fragments will be pocketed for pebble collections. Oh yes, I was on my knees, cleaning up where blood had dribbled from your nose and lips, and urine had seeped out from your trousers. I had to do it before it was taken as evidence of my failure to keep a tidy house, to keep all the secrets, your crude epithets contained in my penciled eyebrow arches, your menacing swagger concealed in my carefully applied lip gloss, your casual indifference to suffering, covered up by crisp white tablecloths and fresh flowers, and much, much more. Yes, I'll put the piece of rock on the mantelpiece. You were rolled over the cliff top by hands other than mine, and the ghosts of the women are dancing all along the shoreline. They are fucking dancing. And now I think I might join them. So that was that one. And I think, what do I want to say about that one? I think, it's about, I wanted to point about women joining together, really. And then finally, another point I wanted to make about the political process is to see ourselves as part of the flow of history. So commemorating the women who've come before us, but also the fact that we have to sort of pass on the baton to women younger than ourselves, which of course, since I'm in my late 60s, is something that occurs to me. And I'm really delighted that my daughter has joined us during the evening, and she's here in the audience. Anyway, this is called Giselle. This is my last poem. Sometimes a poem appears in the night, during those restless hours before the dawn, thinking of my mother, whose hair turned white, or the day when my daughter was born. I remember their midwife, a man who'd once flown planes in a war, and the heat, and how we'd needed a fan, and how I had crouched on the floor. I learned from my mother how scared she'd been, alone and in pain, but ambivalent too. I was much older, but she was 19. I made choices, but she was told what to do. The curtain flaps in the wind, the night air cools my brain. My mother felt she had sinned, and she married to avoid a family stain. But now my hair too turns pale, and my girl is wild and free, and against her strength I am quite frail, and my heart calls out a plea. Let me rise from my bed and dance like Giselle from the lake, the ghost of deliverance. But still I'm awake. My arms and legs stretch out, arabesque of longing expressed. Come back, mother, I want to shout, suddenly realizing I'm distressed. Round and round the ballerina twirled to save her lover from the sirens. She dropped to the ground and then unfurled, and I want to see things through a different lens. And yes, I crouched on the floor while you, as fetus, struggled for life. And mother's words came to mind, virgin and whore, virago or sylph, spinster or wife. And from my window, I can see the moon, and my hair splays out across the pillow. I want to swim with you in the lagoon, but in my life now, you are a shadow. Exhausted, the battle is won. The owl hoots from the trees, saved by love. My work is done, and in sleep there comes heart's ease, and peacefully I slide into the water. You must create your own words now. Your turn to be the daughter. Your job to find out how. Thank you so much, everybody. Let us rise together.
That was absolutely mesmerizing and beautiful, and just so much of what we expect from you. So thank you. Thank you. Without further ado, here's my twin, Kezabel.
Oh, well done for hanging on in there, everybody. Some such powerful words and such passion. Fantastic. And obviously we're running out of time, so I've cut out some of my more serious poems because a lot of what I was going to say has been covered by others. So I'm going to keep it light because I think everyone's flagging a bit now, and so I'm going to share some poems from my latest book. I'll just send the thing to show you where it is. My latest book is Permission to Speak, and it's CD and audio and all that. And we're still surviving through lockdown, aren't we, as creatives, one way or another. So this poem is called Nature Doesn't Blush, because actually sometimes us girls can compare ourselves too much. You know, we wake up every morning not feeling perfect because we're not smooth enough, we're not the right shape, we're not this, we're not that, we're not the other, and the peer pressure that goes on. And it was World Naked Gardening Day or something, and I put a post out on the socials messing about saying, right then everybody, I dare you. And one of my friends said, if I went out into my garden naked, even my flowers would blush. And we laughed. But actually, I then said to her, nature never blushes. You never get a rose compare itself to a dandelion. They just are the best they are. So this short poem is called Nature Doesn't Blush. Nature's beauty shines proudly. Vast varieties, colours, shapes, scents and complexities stand side by side. All are clothed and complemented with verdant shaded backdrops to show them at their best. They celebrate their divine design and unique essence. Nature flourishes without need for comparison, oblivious to others, sharing its blessings without blushes. So let's do more of that, shall we? I think it's really worth pushing that. I really do, because we do compare ourselves too much. You know, words are powerful. Maya Angelou said, we delight in the beauty of the butterfly, but rarely admit the changes it's gone through to achieve its beauty. And that's not just external beauty. I see people in my Weaving Words groups and how they've grown over the last few years. That change, it takes a lot, and it takes time, it takes effort, it takes work. A poem I recently put on YouTube, and it's part of a film that's coming out, a 90-minute film that's coming out called A Weaving Words Experience, and it comes out in April. And a lot of people have been struggling recently, and that's why we put it out a little bit of it early, because we were writing in Weaving Words, that my creative writing workshop, about a Mexican proverb, which goes like this: they tried to bury us, they didn't realize we are seeds. They tried to bury us, but didn't realize we are seeds. And all the people who have come tonight are seeds who are growing. And I wrote this poem in January when there was so much stuff being thrown and I was struggling. So I wrote, I will not be buried. Muck shoveled and thrown, eyes flinched closed, I inhale the earthy smell. Try to turn my mind to digging, planting, fond memories of gardening and fresh air. It helps me smile inside. Another spadeful flies my way. I shake the dirt from my hair. I don't care. It will not deter me from my path. I am heading towards warmth and sunshine. I will not be buried. I turn my cheek to the mudslingers. Steer away from negative cold storms. Beaten and windswept hope seeds rise steadily, watered with fresh tears and rain. Light radiates. I stand tall alongside unique creative beauties as yourself, sharing the sweet scented fruits for all. Cultivated happiness and love grows, soaked in music, dance, art and words, in a full and fertile Narnian Eden. Thank you. And you are part of this. And we must stand by side and get through. And that's why that last stanza says about us soaking in our creativeness and cheering each other on and being side by side. The next poem is a silly poem, just to keep you going, because we're all flagging a little bit, but it's part of, actually, although it's a bit of a fun poem, it's also part of waking up in the morning and not feeling perfect because of peer pressure. And I read this poem in Stanford, and a lady said to me, do you know how this all started, don't you? It's in the 20s. Gillette invented a razor blade, the disposable razor blade, and they made a lot of money, And then they thought, hang on, we're missing a trick here. And they put a massive advertising campaign out through America saying, in Europe, it's all the fashion to be smooth. And suddenly their sales went up. And that continued 30s, 40s, 50s till today. This poem is called Retro Afro Muff. To depilate or not to depilate, that is the question. Whether 'tis nobler in the mind to suffer the stings and narrows of outrageous pubic misfortune, or take underarms and legs against a sea of troubled peer pressure. Millions of pounds spent in chemist aisles to make a suitable impression. Cultural traditions, fashions, adverts from the media obsession to follow the trends of shaven and shorn, to wax a thatch and match the look led by porn. Tweezers pluck, Contraptions remove, lady razors, creams and waxy strips. How strange this prepubescent look is required for her feminine genital bits. Slippy, slidey, pink temptress, smooth runway strip. The next day, itchy, scratchy, stubbly Velcro grip. Or neatly trimmed and coiffured natural woman in the buff. Healthy protection, topiary garden, embracing her retro afro muff. So celebrate your body. Don't wake up every morning feeling imperfect. I don't know how much time we've got. We haven't got much, have we? I had a really rude poem that I was going to share with you. Maybe I'll turn the page on that. Oh dear, see how you're feeling. Oh dear. So I wrote a poem called Permission to Speak, and actually originally the title of the book came from a march that we did celebrating the women getting the vote. And I was in Bedford and we were doing some placards and I did some weaving words groups, and there was a wonderful exhibition, art exhibition, and I opened it with the poem Silence Condones, which I haven't got time to share with you tonight, but it is on YouTube if you want to have a look. And that permission to speak, you know, we have been given a voice, and we need to share, and I'm passionate about encouraging others to find their voice in my creative writing workshops. So if you want to join at any point, do let me know. And I love this. Pablo Picasso said, the meaning of life is to find your gift. The purpose of life is to give it away. So give it away. All your talents and your gifts, give it away. And your homework from tonight is to have a go at either splashing some paint or dancing in the kitchen or scribbling or doing something creative. And don't worry about showing it to anyone else or comparison. Just do it. Because we all have a story, questions, intentions, desires, a wish, family memories, love, realities, anguish, conversations buried, suppressed needs to express, to declare our truth, to process and address. Creative expressions may start with a brushstroke, a whisper, a written word. Sing out your life dance. Now is the time to be heard. Let's voice our observations and feelings, drown out that inner critique, truly bless and give ourselves full permission to speak. Thank you. And I'm going to finish with a 30-second poem. And I haven't got time for the rude one, but I'll share it with you another time. This poem, this 30-second poem, was written when I was going through a very difficult time. My ex-husband was marrying my ex-best friend. A family friend had died, and I just split up with my boyfriend, and I was really struggling. So my prayer partner said to me, go and stay at my house by the sea and just have some time to yourself. And it's really important to have that time just to ourselves. And I wrote this poem whilst I was there on my own, and it's called Me Time. If you want to close your eyes, you can. Here we go. Thank you for having me, by the way. Recoup, rebuild, time to be, peace, self-love is the key. Listen to that inner voice, honestly. Rest, process, heal prayerfully, re-energize, breathe in me. Strength from solace by the sea. Thank you for having me. Keep being amazing, and we'll share more poems together and more sauciness and mischief another time.
Hello.
Yes, Gary.
Can I have a request?
What's that?
I was just going to say Mary Poppins.
Mary Poppins? What's that?
Some of our favourite things.
Oh, that one. Do you know what? If we've got time for one more, I'm going to do the saucy one. I'm not going to do the...
Well, you can do that.
if we've got time for it, this is a poem written. Has anybody got a birthday tonight? Is anybody here with a birthday tonight? This is. I used to go. Well, I still do, but not so often now. I'm part of a group called the Tuesday Trollops, and we used to get together just to encourage each other. And it was coming up to a big birthday, and they all chipped in for this birthday present for me. And this is a silly poem to finish on. Thank you for having me, and please do get in touch. It's called Unusual Birthday Present. Okay. I'm known as masturbating queen by some of my close friends. They take the piss at my appetite. Natural joy, why not, I defend. My thoughtful friends decided that my present should be special. What? You've never used a rabbit? They look on as if I'm extraterrestrial. It was a big one, my 50th birthday. Deliberations, lots of thought. Received this plastic thing with batteries that my friends chipped in and bought. I thanked them for my present. I thought it was dead funny, but I couldn't ever imagine using the purple birthday bunny. I'm a skin-on-skin girl, I tried to explain. The real deal is the best. I prefer to feel the soft me in those moments of undress. They tried to persuade me. It's amazing. Think of the time you'll save. On earth would I want to rush that? So it's still in the box, I'm afraid. Thank you. We've got to finish with a bit of sauce, haven't we? And some mischief.
Unmute yourself, guys.
Who doesn't know how to use a rabbit?
Plastic and landfill is all I'm saying.
Well, all I'm going to say is, woman to woman, if you've got a rabbit and you haven't taken it out of the box, you're behind the times, because now it's a rose, okay? It's a rose
the batteries for something else, I believe.
Get him out of the remote. What are you doing, woman? Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I'm going to come over there. You're supposed to be more liberal and free with all of that than us girls over here. No, get that out.
I am. That's why my reputation precedes me, but yeah, we don't know.
Great. Mine too. Okay. Oh my gosh. That was fantastic. You guys give it up for Kezabel. Give it up. Give it up. Give it up.